Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You already know who it is. It's your host with the most, back in this thing with another one. Today we got a very special video for you all. We're going to be going over the Pop the Balloon guy, the plumber who got fired from his job after visiting the Pop the Balloon show on YouTube. But before we get into this, I'm going to need you to like that video. Like the video, like the video, like the video. Shout out to MTR. He said it. He gave us the green light to reuse this content. So shout out to MTR. And yeah, in this video, they go over how Mr. Plumber Man got to where he's at and life after visiting the show. So this is going to be a improving your life segment. So for those of you who are new here, you can support the show by supporting the Cash App tag. That's going to be on this video, also in the description. And also I need you all to like this video so more people can find this video. And let's get into this. But before that, let's introduce ourselves. You're watching the GetUp Show. So, let's get into this.
I think that it's very needed, and I said it multiple times within the video that I wanted to have a conversation with you to ensure that we can continue on building. And a lot more sinister things have happened since then, and we're going to get into it. And let me say this for everyone that's watching right now, as well as the audience. Aaron told me before we got started, he said, you can ask anything. And y'all already know, I'm going to ask the good as well as the bad. We're going to hold his feet to the fire, but we want the answers. Right, Aaron?
Yep.
You said bring it on.
Come on. Let's get
All right,
this
get it.
way.
Yeah. Let's get it out the way. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was up in the DM talking about I was not qualified. Nah, brother. So before we get started, I know you.
I think they made that into a shirt
you have
too.
A multitude of names, right? And I've
not
heard
qualified.
Aaron. I've heard Weapon X.
You not
I
qualified,
heard the
baby.
Balloon Pop guy. There's some trolls on the internet calling you Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtle. What do you want to be known and go by?
Weapon X. I like that name.
Weapon X.
Is that your
Weapon
fitness
X
name?
Gaming. Oh, that's tough.
Nah, it's not my fitness name, but as fit overall, just call me Aaron. But if you want to joke or something, you see me out, hey, Weapon X, because you seen my comedy skit that I did, then it's fine with me.
That's tough. That's a tough name.
Yeah, we're gonna bring that.
I
up
thought
here
they was
in a
calling
second as
MTR
well.
that.
Also, too,
Yo,
this
X.
is you going viral on that
Weapon
Pop
X.
the Balloon. It's your first foray with being on the internet itself, right? So within that being stated, there's no information about you. So there's a lot of people that are saying a lot of different things, making up information. So I wanted to start at the beginning.
Again, before we really dive deep into this, where's my cursor? Before we dive deep into this, I don't know what's going on here. My mouse isn't showing. But anyway, before we dive too deep into this, what the hell is going on here? Sorry, damn it, we're gonna have to take a little, watch the video and I'll fix this real quick.
First, can you talk through your home
okay.
life?
It just fixed
What was that like? Were you in a
So the thing about this is, some people were bring up certain things about this guy, about his past. For some of you who don't know, he was in prison for a short while, doing a bid. Apparently he was in the streets. So let's listen to what this man has to say and hear some of the insights he has after these times.
parent household, brothers and sisters.
But before that, I'm gonna need you all to. I'm gonna give you one more time to like this video. We need this video to do well. But most importantly, I want that ticker symbol in the top right to jump up. I need it to jump up by at least 2 a minute, right? Let's roll to 1,800 subscribers, right? But then once we pass that, roll to 2K. Let's get us to 2K subscribers. And let's continue.
Sisters, you could just describe that.
I'm from Stockton, California. That's where I was born. And I grew up in Sacramento, California. Throughout my I grew up in a single parent household. My mother raised us. It was 5. I'm the oldest. I have 3 sisters and 1 brother. And my
He's the
childhood, it was rough, honestly. By the grace of God, I was fortunate enough to have 2 grandparents, and if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be alive to this day. My grandfather was a computer engineer for NASA, and he was well off, and he took very good care of us. My mother, she was
that was his grandfather.
Meth and filler off, and he took very good engineer for NASA and be alive to this day. My grandfather was a computer engineer for NASA, and
his grandfather was a computer engineer for NASA.
My mother, she was addicted to crystal methamphetamine, probably since I was
mother addicted to crystal meth.
And shout out to my mom.
That was probably during the crack cocaine era generation.
Shout out to my mom because
she got caught up in
Yeah, I was looking at your shirt too. Your mom didn't raise no dummy.
Yeah, and shout out to mom.
For those of you who don't know about American history, Black American history, is even to the levels of the government. There were actually operations put in place to disrupt Black communities, specifically through the use of drugs and guns. So his mother was just one of many who succumbed to the environment that this country presented them. And that, that actually has a trickle-down effect. I was watching this movie going in about, like the CIA's involvement with drugs in the Black communities, and they actually mentioned how the then president at the time, I think it was Homeland Security Director or something like that. I don't know. The person involved with the CIA, director of the CIA or something. They mentioned someone up top, right? Leading and running, covert operations for this government at the time. One of his justifications was, and the quote might be off a little bit, but it goes somewhere along the lines of this: I want their children to be addicted. I want there to be so many drugs in their communities that I want their children to be addicted. And it has a trickle-down effect, right? From the parents, disrupts the home, disrupts the family system. Mother's on drugs. Now she can't work. She needs welfare. The man can't be in the house if she's on welfare with the kids. Those are the terms. And you need to, if you're on welfare, make below a certain amount of money. So you're always capped at a specific earning rate. So you're literally creating a structure of family living for a specific type of people, just so they can receive a free benefit, which is EBT, child support, or family care, whatever, whatnot, Medicare, snaps. I don't give a damn. But anyway, these programs are put in place, even though they're free. They have these limitations on them. They don't say, well, if you just need the help, here it is. It doesn't say that. It just says, well, you have to be specifically below this poverty line to receive these benefits. And so people would actually stunt their growth. Like they would say, okay, well, I only need to make just enough just so I could receive these free benefits. And then there we go. And then add to that, the man can't be in the home. If that's the father, you're gonna have to bounce. I don't need you. I got the EBT now. And it just creates this perpetual cycle. And now the kids growing up in this environment, think about the kids. And this is the result of what happens to those kids. Like they go through the prison system much more easily. They don't have any guidance. They don't have any, right? He had his grandfather. He didn't have his father. He had his mother, but she was doped up. Where was the father? He wasn't in the home. So it's a perpetual cycle. But let's continue. That was just a little riff. But let's continue. Wait, actually, before we continue, I'm gonna need you to like the video, and I'm gonna give you one more time to like it. I'm gonna need you to like the video. Let's continue.
Proud of my mom for that.
And what about your father?
My father, he's not really in my life. I don't really speak with him very much, but he played a role later on as I got older, and we can shed a little more light on that. Yeah, my father came into my life as I got older. Sorry about that, you guys. It's been crazy. So many people.
Hotline ringing now.
Me,
Hotline blinging.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But sorry. Yeah, I grew up in Stockton, Sacramento, man. I bounced all around.
So you were on your father. So how's your father's role been within your life?
My father, he came around when I was older, but I had a different perception of life due to what my mother installed in me about him. You know, my father tried to be active in my life. He did everything within the court system, and my mother put nothing but negativity inside of me and made me believe, you know, my father was a negative person. So as I got older,
is there a do not disturb on the phone, brother?
Yeah. Turn my phone off, please. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you good, bro.
Where was I at?
You were talking about that your mother was poisoning you in your mind towards your father. We lost him?
All right, I'm gonna skip
Looks
past
like we lost
this.
him. MTR and Weapon X. Shout out my brother. Make sure you do reaction content on this, all right? Shout out to Luke Aisley with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Luke. I appreciate that. Shout out to Wes All with the $2.79 Canuck buck. Thank you. Shout out to Madden Gamer for the $5 super chat. What up, MTR? And last but not least, at least for right now, shout out to Moreno with the 2 CHF, wherever that's from. All right, we got them worldwide up in here. All right, my brother, you back. You got your phone on.
All right, so before we get too ahead of ourselves, as you can see, well, as you can hear from the gentleman here, so he mentioned that when he was younger, his then mother, well, she basically did everything she could to down talk his father. But as you heard, he didn't realize until later in his years that his father was a pretty cool guy. And apparently he was there in his life. He tried to be there. But that's the cycle that I'm talking about. And the thing is that, like, now with modern times, people actually forget that those are the reasons that these programs were instilled. So, like, it's like once the new generation comes, these programs are still here. So they just start to take advantage of these programs, not knowing why they're here. And they just start to ruin these families. And it just starts to build on itself. It's like a snowball effect. You let the snowball start rolling and you just sit back. It's gonna do whatever work it's gonna do from here on out. You don't have to put much more effort into growing the snowball. The snowball is just gonna keep growing and growing until it crashes, right? I don't think it's crashed yet because people are still running to these programs. But I think through the use of social media and shedding light to these types of programs and how evil they are, I think people will still steer clear of them a lot more than if we were all silent. And if we didn't bring information like this to you. And when I bring information like this, I'm not bringing it to take any sides or anything. It's just information. It's like a tool or like a screwdriver, better yet. It's like a screwdriver, right? It depends on how you use it. You could use a screwdriver as a hammer, a really bad hammer, or you can use a screwdriver as a really good screwdriver, right? It depends on how you're going to use the tool. You can use the screwdriver as a hammer. But is it going to be a very effective hammer? So, but let's continue. For those of you who know more about these types of programs and these systems, feel free to add your chats. We're right now streaming on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. So whatever chat you put in either one of those chats is going to show up to the right of me right here, to the right here. So you'll be able to see that. And also, I'm going to give you one more time to like this video. I need this video to hit at least 5 likes on a live stream. That's a goal of mine right now. And I need that ticker symbol of the subscribers to jump up by 2 every minute. Can you do that? Right now we're at 1798. I need us to get to 1800. And you already know, once we get to 1800, I'll already be aiming for 2K. So let's get us to 2K subscribers and smash that like button. Let's continue. My mouse has disappeared again. So it's going to be a little difficult, a little slow. Yeah.
Do not disturb now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, sounds good. So I believe that we left off on just speaking about your father, impact within your life after. So I guess at what point in your life did you realize that your mother had poisoned your mind against your father in order, I guess, to just not allow you to have contact with him?
I honestly didn't realize it until I became a man. And probably when I was like 20, in my 20s maybe or so, I used to despise my father, because he would try to instill discipline in me.
You're trying to teach me lessons. I hate you.
I was a carpenter
damn,
apprentice
bro.
when I was like 15.
You see, and that's the difference. That's the difference between.
Because he has a similar
Being
story
able
to
to do
mine,
what you want at one
and
point
he knew,
and having discipline in your life. Like, you'll think the discipline is bad. Like, I had a recent example of this, right? At work. Like, there are actual rules at work, right? There are rules. Just like your household, there are rules. So apparently, I work in a facility where it's multiple different companies next to each other. So sometimes I would go to an accompanying property, maybe charge my phone or my laptop, because maybe we're not allowed to have computers on our property for my work, right? Excuse me. So so I would go on these other properties and charge my laptop. But there are actually rules put in place that would say, okay, well, you're not allowed to use your laptop indoors. So I would go outside. But then there would be another rule that says, well, you're not allowed to go on someone else's property. And I understand why that rule's in place. Even though it's not hurting anybody. The rule is you're on someone else's property. That's the rule. Or another rule might be some other stuff, but you get the point. Regardless of how BS the rule might be or whatnot, what have you, it's a rule, and if you want to keep that job, I guess you're gonna have to follow it. Is what I'm saying. But where was I going with this? You be the judge of that. Add it in the comment section below in the chat. It's gonna show up to the right of me, so there's that and that rhyme. But let's continue.
Exactly how the story would play out, and did everything he could to keep me out of the lifestyle, but I was too infatuated with it, and I made my own decisions to be a part of this lifestyle.
Okay. And by this lifestyle, you were gang affiliated at a certain point, and you had a criminal history, which we're going to get into as well. So,
yes, sir.
So within that being said, so what I'm hearing is, you had some siblings.
And
your father was.
Look, when they say he was gang affiliated at the time, I think it was a matter of environment and circumstance. Think about it. His mother, who apparently, from his words, was using substances. She might have been, I hate to say it, but lower income. So she might have needed help with certain programs. And maybe he didn't see as these programs and the funds that were given as adequate. So in that environment where you're coming up, maybe he didn't like working at Domino's or working at Checkers and making $12 an hour at the time for every single hour he was working. Maybe he thought this is some BS, right? He went to the street. He went to the streets to find his calling. And apparently he made some great money at the time while doing it. And I think that's the primary motivation, is that, like, it's a slippery slope. It's a trickle down effect of these programs that are put in place, right? That's why I don't promote using any of these things. I'd much rather get it out the mud, as they say, and try to work my way up. Not just through a company. Sure, you can work a job and be successful. You can trade. You can not just make your money, you can grow your money. And there are different ways you can grow your money. Tap into the investing segment, the market alert segment, which I go over stocks and option strategies. So I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an investor of yours. I'm just here to give you information daily ticker news, daily stock news, daily trading. Am I still streaming? Am I still streaming right now? It said my streaming software just disconnected and reconnected. Okay, so apparently I'm streaming back again. So the application probably closed. So anyway, what I was saying is, it's not just enough that you're working a regular job making $12 an hour, especially when your family is already struggling with these EBT benefits and all these other government programs that limit you anyway, because you're gonna need to make a certain amount under a certain threshold just to be able to be eligible for these programs. So he probably said, all right, that ain't enough. And he said, instead of asking my mom for money for clothes and money to take out cute girls I like, I'll start trapping. And that is the slippery slope. Then it presents him front door smack dab to the prison system, which is basically slave labor. And it's a pipeline for them to go into slave labor for 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, sometimes 50, life. For life, you're gonna do one thing and then you're trapped for life. You're a slave for life, basically. And that's the justification of it. It's the law that says, okay, now you're allowed to be a slave for life. But anyway, that's the pipeline, right? And like I said before, whoever was in place to enact these laws that said, okay, these people will reap the benefits or reap the downfalls of these programs being sent to these specific people, marketed to these specific people. But let's continue. Add your thoughts in the comment section below. And let's have a discussion.
Was not in your life, but and sadly was manipulated out of your life. What's crazy is that I do mentorship with men behind scenes, and what I always tell men on the channel is that no matter what your relationship with with your father, you should always attempt to reach out to him, because you just never know their side of the story, or the things that have been implanted within your mind unbeknownst to you that is not allowing you to have a strong relationship with him. But would you say, would that be the leading contributing factor, your father not being there, or you having a strong relationship with him, as to how you got off the rails and fell down into a life of criminality?
My mother's drug addiction is what played a big part in it. My grandmother and my grandfather, they were well off, and they were my mother's enablers.
And before we continue, this video, this stream that they did is about 5 hours long. So obviously we're gonna be cutting this much shorter. But this might be a multiple part series, so tune in for that also. And one more time, I'm gonna give you one more time to like this video so that more people find this around you. So let's continue.
So they would always give my mother large quantities of money, and instead of taking care of responsibilities, she would squander it on whatever she wanted to do.
Exactly. You see, he just mentioned it right there. He just mentioned something very important. I didn't even know they gave you large sums of money.
And instead of taking care of, they were well off and they were in it. My mother's drug addiction is what played a big part in it. My grandmother and my grandfather, they were well off, and they were my mother's enablers. So they would always give my mother large quantities of money.
So that's different. I thought his mother was getting the money to take care of both him and her through these government programs, but apparently, it was her parents that were giving her the money to take care of herself and her son. So it sounds like she wasn't making much money. If she was working a job, she wasn't making much money in the job. If she wasn't working, she just had a kid. So they were like, damn, can't let you go homeless with your kid. So they're obviously gonna try to front the money for you, make sure you could survive, their daughter could survive with her kid. But apparently he's saying they gave her large sums of money and she just squandered it. She basically just took the money and just spent it. Like, she was chilling rent free. Like, that's basically what it is. She was chilling rent free. She ain't have no job. What was she doing with the money? She was spending it on drugs. Spending on drugs, probably going out. She was partying every single week. Going out, spending it on drugs. And she didn't have a job. She wasn't even, I don't know if she was or wasn't, but it doesn't sound like this was from EBT or any government program. So, but apparently from him, she squandered it. So the money that was left for us, him and her, wasn't enough. So he said the main thing that brought him to the streets was the fact that his mother was constantly on drugs. I don't know how that's supposed to help, but maybe he was looking to that as like, well, I can't get money from my mom because she's blowing it all. So let me just go get my own bread. And the streets was where he found it.
And instead of, taking care of her responsibilities, she would squander it on whatever she, wanted to do. And I started going to jail, juvenile hall, probably, or getting placed in handcuffs, probably about 8 or 9 years old.
Damn, 8 or 9 years old, starting to go to juvenile control.
What's known as a crash dummy. I was hanging out with guys that were 16, 17 years old.
Hanging out with guys that were 16, 17 years old in high school.
My mother, when my grandparents would get upset,
he had no guidance.
They would cut
he was just out all day.
Money, and we would suffer. We wouldn't have. I remember if my sisters are watching this, they would comment down and let them know this is not no joke. It was times where it was just a jar of peanut butter inside of the refrigerator.
A jar of peanut butter inside the refrigerator, nothing to eat. And he has sisters. He's not the only sibling. What the hell? And she's getting money from her parents. She's not even taking care of her kids.
I had to protect my sisters.
And there was no man in the house to at least guide this woman. And think about it, bro. There was no man in this house to guide this woman. She was just a free spirit out here with kids. Just, well, I got them. Like, what the hell? We need to do better, man. But this is improving your life. This is improving your life segment. We need to do better. Like, and it starts in the households. I keep saying this. Like, it starts in the households. You're not gonna get the results you want if the household ain't with if the household isn't right.
It started off with small burglaries, and as I got older,
small burglaries started off. Burglaries. I thought it was selling drugs.
I would say.
So he started doing burglaries. That's crazy.
I did not finish high school. I was hustling around, graduation. I had a lot of money. So
he was hustling around graduation. He had a lot of money.
I ended up getting my GED
in high school.
And I got my GED in prison, and I got it out on the streets and ended up going to college.
So from 9 years old to somewhere around 13, 14, 15, he was making a lot of money doing burglaries and other things.
A lot of employers,
and
they
hustling.
want you on the job site, as much as possible. They don't care about furthering your skills.
Right. Okay. Right. So,
honestly, I always not look up to them, but I admire people like this because they're never content with the environment or circumstance they're given. I always admire them just for that. I mean, it's not the best way to get what you want, or the best way, quote unquote, the best way. It's not the best way, the safest way, the most strategic way. Maybe it is strategy, maybe, but it's not the most straight and narrow way. But I always admire people like that because they'd much rather try to figure it out than to sit and wait and wonder and hope that something might come. Like if he was a kid at 9 years old and just hoping that his mom would just suddenly snap out of it and start taking care of him, like he probably would have been one malnourished, maybe even dead kid. Like if he just waited. But nah, he was like, nah, I'm gonna put this into my hands. My guys, the guys I chill with, the guys I hang with, are running some burglaries, and he's gonna take part because then he sees the opportunity that presents himself. And he said he'd much rather do that than starve. So it's the environment that he's in. If he was in a better environment, if he was in a loving home, if he was in a home that had more than plenty, if they had more than they ever needed, he wouldn't be thinking ever of burglary. But it all starts in the household, and all these programs, all these circumstances are just here for certain people. Like think about the immigrants flooding into this country with no home, no plan, no direction. They're just in no language. Some of them don't even speak English. They're just here. Now they're trying to survive in the US. Apparently, and I'll be showing this in the next conspiracy segment. Apparently, a lot of them are even coming to this country to become homeless. Think about that. It's almost like they're trying to bring a new class of citizens, a new homeless class, a new immigrant class that doesn't have a place in this world. I mean, maybe not yet, but doesn't have a place in this world. And they're just flooding them in millions at a time. Think about that. It's deeper than what you see, is what I'm saying. But let's continue. Well, actually, before we continue, I'd like for you all to like the video. I need you all to like the video. But most importantly, I need you all to make that ticker symbol in the top right corner jump up. I need it to jump up like the markets have been jumping up this whole summer. So I'm going to give you one more time and you're through.
So you began small into this lifestyle of, gang life, criminality. And I guess, how did it progress? So you first started to robbing, and how did it progress into? Are you willing to go into your criminal history? How long you've been locked up?
Yeah, I did 5 years in prison.
Damn,
what they
5
were
years.
saying is pretty accurate. The final boss. That's how I was in prison. No nonsense type of guy. Hey, if you was incarcerated with me, and we're not trying to shine any light on, incarceration, unless we're talking about decreasing the recidivism rates, then we can talk about that. But when I was in prison, I was no nonsense. I want to fight everybody. I was mad at the world, but honestly, going to prison was the best thing that ever happened to me, because now I'm a firm believer that isolation, it enhances your elevation, you know, because I was isolated from the world while everybody was doing COVID, you know, I was doing COVID times 2 on the plantation, a dangerous
Times 2
plantation.
on the plantation, goddamn it.
So, in prison, my first 3 years, you'll see, we'll show the write-ups and stuff. I didn't have any understanding. I was mad at the world. I didn't have any family support whatsoever. I didn't have any contact with the outside world, so all I wanted to do was work out and, you know, engage in a good old fisticuff. But it wasn't until I had read a book and they were talking about Geronimo Pratt, and I had read about COINTELPRO, you know, the counterintelligence program J. Edgar Hoover started, used to suppress black organizations. Now, once I read about that, and I'm reading about tribalism and about how the government infiltrated these organizations, you know, these gangs didn't originally start off as gangs. They were just trying to protect their communities. So the government infiltrated, you know, these organizations and turned them against each other. You know, the Bloods and Crips they were united at one point in time. So I began to ponder at night, like, man, you know, I'm over.
And with that, everybody, think about it. Like, so these governments began to basically run operations on these organizations, right? And why wouldn't they want that? They wouldn't want a group of black people that they're specifically trying to keep down. They wouldn't want them to suddenly join together and have the power that they did when MLK was here, when Malcolm X was here, the unity that they had. They don't want another black leader. They don't want that. It's dangerous to them, to their propaganda. It's dangerous to them. So they put all these systems and programs in place just to keep them down. It's sick. It's disgusting.
We're here attacking these men, and the oppressors are the ones that infiltrated an establishment that was promoting a just cause and turned it into some evil. I was like, man, how could I contribute to this moving forward, you know, knowing this? And I was still interact with, you know, some of those individuals, but in my heart, deep down, I knew, I was like, man, this isn't me. It's not. I knew I had a greater purpose. I knew God had a calling on my life. I just didn't know for what, you know. Right. And when I was gangbanging, I was trying to find myself, you know. Right. And I heard ample stories of, you know, my father when he went through a similar situation. So I'm trying to live up to his name, and I really didn't have to do that.
Right. So, and I'm gonna ask this in a very crude way. Did you get shot in the face before jail or after jail?
I got shot in the face before I went to jail. I ended up going to jail probably 6 or 7 months after I got shot. Now,
can you talk about that story? How you got shot in the face?
Yeah, I can talk about it. I won't get too in depth, but I will say I probably deserved it, honestly. And the individual, you know, I'm grateful because in the end, it showed God's true strength. Now, if you've seen before, when I uploaded the pictures, I was about 140 pounds, maybe 130, 120 pounds. You know, I got shot 6 times. I got shot twice in my knee, 3 times in my thigh. Right?
3 times in the
They
thigh.
told me I wasn't never going to walk again. I was unable to go to physical therapy. I did not do no physical therapy whatsoever because I got arrested. I went to jail. In the prison system, the health care is inferior. You know, they give you the worst health care. If you have any problem, they're just gonna say give you ibuprofen. That's the cure for everything.
It's crazy.
When you're in bondage.
I heard
So,
they only get like
I
$6
began
a
to
day
work out
to take care of inmates,
and
while they get
strengthen
hundreds
myself.
or
When I
maybe
got shot,
thousands to take care of them.
I did a lot of things to people.
And that includes food, health care,
back then, I had money
and
and I had
supplies.
haters, and I didn't know. I didn't have somebody older, guiding
$6.
me, telling me, "Hey, son,
That's
they're
one
hating
trip
on
to
you
the
because
Dollar
you got
Tree.
nice cars, you got this." I didn't know. I would always let my emotions supersede my intelligence, and I'm a Cancer. So I've been working on that, and now it's like I'm aware of all my flaws, and I can see them vividly.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of breaking those old bad habits.
Yeah, old bad habits, and here's the thing: is it sounds as if a lot of your childhood was in a single parent household. Majority, either be your mother. Or did you say it was your grandparents that majority raised you?
Yes, it was. I bounced all around.
You bounced around.
Shout out to Pastor
You
Gooden.
bounced around.
He's in Sacramento, California, of the Bethel and Grace Church and God in Christ. Pastor Gooden is a father figure. I call him my dad.
See, that's why it's so important for people to have others in their lives who've been to like similar situations, or who at least have some like life experience, like, because this is where we get the experience to keep us out of prison. This is where we get the experience to keep us from selling drugs, or keep us from shooting people, or keep us off the streets, keep women from stripper poles, keep women from Instagram DMs and things like those. Like, this is where the knowledge comes from, the experience that you haven't lived before. There's this saying, you learn more from someone else's experience. You learn more from other people's experience than your own sometimes. Sometimes you need that kick in the ass where you need to go through whatever you're going to go through to make sure you understand the circumstances or the results of your actions. But then there are also lessons that you learn from other people that prevents you from going in the same direction. But let's continue. And we'll be ending shortly. Like I said, this is a 5-hour long video, so we're not gonna be streaming for 5 hours. I can't, it's impossible. I've got work later. So I think that's gonna be all for now. Tune in next time, and I'm gonna give you one more time to like this video. And I look to see you all here next time. We out.